Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, we're got a fun and exciting video for you guys today because we're taking a look at Armonic 79's new Darius II core, or Darius II core, because every time I pronounce it one way, everyone says to say it the other way. It is also the Ninja Warriors core because technically that is the first game that ran on the hardware, and System 16 calls it the Ninja Warriors board. And even though Taito didn't really seem to name it back in the day, System 16 has all of the basic nomenclature on what you would call a certain platform. And Armonic 79 is a new name, at least in this year, to MiSTer FPGA core development, and they're absolutely killing it when it comes to making some amazing cores. And when you get Taito's really fun 3-screen ultra-wide games on MiSTer, and you can play them on your HDMI television or my ultra-wide monitor where they look outstanding, you know you've definitely won on this one. Before you get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But honestly, I love this hardware from Taito just because it is so weird and so quirky. Basically, the overall engineering brief was, let's do something in the arcades that you can't do at home. And don't forget, when these games came out, widescreen television just basically did not exist. Maybe in some exhibition in Japan they were thinking about making them or showing them off, but for the most part, these actual aspect ratios were only able to be done by installing multiple monitors in a cabinet and using very specific mirror placement to be able to merge the screens together. And you can see here it's working perfectly on MiSTer FPGA, and that cannot be an easy feat in any way, shape, or form, because if one of the screens was even a frame off pace from the other two, you would see this weird, almost like vertical screen tearing going on where they were not in perfect alignment. And you can see here from the motion, absolutely everything is frame locked, and that is something that definitely benefits this core, and I am so impressed that the developer got that done so easily, because I'm sure it was not an easy thing to do. And moving over to Darius 2, this is definitely the better game of the two. And don't get me wrong, the Ninja Warriors is a fun game, but I would say obviously something like this is going to be way more iconic and remembered by everybody. And I will say, from the gameplay to the sound to the controls to the video and image, I really couldn't find anything to point at in Darius 2 that I would say needs improvement. There's a couple little weird sprite glitches in the Ninja Warriors, but otherwise infinitely playable as of now. And if you're wondering, this is not an update all yet, at least to the recording of this video, but if you go over to the MiSTer FPGA Discord and go to the Test Builds tab, you'll find the core as well as the MRA files for the actual game files themselves. And it's one of those things, right now only a few versions work, and there are more than one version of Darius 2, and Armonic 79 said to get that other version working, he's probably going to have to make Warrior Blade Rasen Saga 3 core as well. And if you know me and you know the channel, that is the one core I have been holding out hope for more than anything else on the MiSTer FPGA arcade side of things. So Armonic 79, if you're listening, do me that favor, make a Warrior Blade core and I will send you a 6-pack of Miller High Life, which is the most compensation anyone will ever receive for an FPGA core, because obviously it is a priceless gift. But all jokes aside, actually running this hardware in the home is absolutely a metric pain in the ass, and it's not something that you really want to do, because you have to have multiple monitors set up and you have to deal with the bezels. And even the best scalers on the market right now, the Pixel Effects More 4K and the RetroTink 4K, do not ingest more than one signal at a time, so it's not like we have a scaler that'll take multiple signals and be able to put them up on a monitor and align all of the screens, because these boards have multiple video outs going to multiple monitors, and you have to basically get those monitors perfectly positioned and use a mirror, or else it's going to be absolutely one of the jankiest looking things you've ever seen. Trust me, I've tried it before and it is not worth doing at home. And as far as the gameplay experience here in Darius 2, absolutely flawless in my opinion. It's been some years since I played this game, so you're not seeing the most top level actual performance right here, but I will say everything is working exactly as expected. And that little screen morph right there, again, that is an area in which if the sync of the 3 monitors was off, you'd immediately see it. Let's go into the first of 2 soundtrack samples. I would say the audio is amazing as well, so go ahead and listen, tell me if you hear any issues whatsoever, and I'll be right back with more testing of the Darius 2 core. I mean, Darius II always had a great soundtrack because obviously Zuntata had their hand in it, and they are one of the best makers of arcade and video game music in general. And obviously here it sounds exactly like it needs to, at least to my ear. But I always like to say in videos, I have two tin ears. I am a very visual person and a filmmaker for a living, and audio gets handled by the audio department on a set, and I have no idea what they do, I just know they do it well. So if there's anything you hear about that doesn't sound exactly accurate, leave me a comment down below, because I always say, I only have the two ears and the two eyes, but you guys have thousands. But as far as a gameplay experience is concerned, you can sit down right now and play Darius II from start to finish with basically no issues whatsoever. Just be aware that when you launch the core, the aspect ratio is going to be absolutely smushed. You have to go into the video settings and go to the integer setting so you can actually get this thing to scale across the screen. If you don't, it's going to make no sense whatsoever. And if you have an ultra-wide monitor available, I can't stress enough just how incredible these games are on an ultra-wide. It's one of those things that just absolutely fills the majority of the screen and really gives you a lot to look at. But honestly, on my 65-inch LG C4, looks incredible there as well. Just obviously you don't get as much vertical spacing compared to the horizontal aspect ratio, because these things are meant for ultra wide. So if you do have that monitor, you're in for an extra special treat. And again, these cores are treats in and of themselves, because obviously the arcade had more power than the home console market for a long time, whether that was in 2D or 3D. But these were the type of things that developers made to show off exactly what could be done in an arcade environment. You could have ultra wide gaming, and you could basically show people something that never truly existed at home. And that's why these games were successful. Not only were they super fun and amazing in their own right, but they had this technological hat trick, for lack of a better term, that has absolutely killed it. By hat trick, I mean 3 different things at once: incredible gameplay, 3 monitors, and just basically an overall look that you couldn't achieve in the home market. And honestly, I just felt like saying hat trick, so you're going to have to deal with it. And as we move into the next area here, again, I couldn't really indicate or spot anything about this build that made me think it wasn't doing anything other than it was supposed to. Then when we move back to the Ninja Warriors in just a moment, I will show you a few bugs, and I only point them out so you don't think that it's not working correctly if you do decide to play this one. But I'm sure Harmonic will definitely clean this up and get to the point in time where it's basically one-to-one perfect with real arcade hardware, and I can't wait for that moment in time to come. But moving back to the Ninja Warriors, if you take a look at the screen right now, it says 1 up, you have your health bar, and you have 30 Shoryuken. You'll see the 0 is missing a little bit of its sprite. And if you look at the top of the screen, those 2 zeros are missing content as well. And when the tank comes through, it's actually distorting a little bit of the background layer, which is really interesting because obviously the 0 on Darius II looked exactly like a 0 should. So this is definitely something, if you see it, it is to be expected at this point in time. No, that's not how the original hardware would work, but again, these are still test cores, and once they go to update all, I'm sure all of this will be 100% buttoned up. And again, getting all this to work at the same time definitely must be a headache for Harmonic, and I am impressed with the work they did. But as the next soundtrack sample, go ahead and listen, and I'll be right back with a bit more. Super fun soundtrack that kind of feels like a mix of Darius as well as Warrior Blade. And honestly, it's just absolutely wild that this game existed at all, because this was definitely a feat for 1987, and that is how old this game is. Ronald Reagan was still president when this game came out, and imagine being in 1987, you have an NES at home or maybe a Master System, and you go to the arcade and you see something like this running on 3 screens with all of these lush bright animations, great graphics, and just overall fun vibes. That is why the arcade for the longest time was just basically where dreams came true, and you got to see previews of what you would be playing in the future. And obviously widescreen gaming took a long time to actually come home, but this was kind of an idea that would go into effect as far as gaming was concerned basically a decade plus later. So if you want to check these cores out, just go over to the MiSTer FPGA Discords, go to the test builds channel, and you will find them there as well as the MRAs. But sure, that hope you enjoyed the videos. Definitely check these ones out, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.